The Oxford Dictionary describes contentment as a state of happiness and satisfaction. Unfortunately, a lot of the things that are in our lives are designed to take that contentment away from us, to actually make us discontent, dissatisfied. I come from a marketing background, and so I feel like I may have a tendency to give businesses too much credit for how they shape society. I don't know though, because marketing is basically designed to make sure that you want things because you feel that your life just won't be complete without them. And that comes from a sense of discontentment. It comes from a sense of dissatisfaction. It comes from insecurity and fear. And that would be okay if it was every once in a while, but in the course of most of our lives, most of the things that we interact with in terms of media, whether we are watching a show on the TV or we are scrolling on social media on our phones, have some sort of marketing or advertisement in them, right? It might be a commercial or an ad, or it might be something as subtle as a product placement in the sports show that you're watching, or in some B-roll on a video that you see on Instagram. Like, media and our online world are really designed to try to make us want things and to buy more. Oftentimes, the classic marketing solution is to feed on dissatisfaction and discomfort in some sort of area of our lives, to magnify that and make us want it. The problem is that this is happening so often that it's sort of like background noise at this point. We don't even have to be necessarily taking in anything. We don't necessarily have to be taking in those messages constantly to feel that dissatisfaction constantly. And it means that we enjoy our lives less. Companies want to make you feel less than so that you buy more from them. You're buying to try to fill this hole within yourself, the things that dissatisfy you, the things that you don't like about yourself or about your life. They've trained you to see products and more things and more experiences and more as the solution to this discontent problem that you're feeling, which, may have been there to begin with, but has certainly been heightened and made bigger by the forms of marketing that you see around you. And really, in that situation, you lose, because you don't have to be watching marketing messages all the time. Like, there's no one specific company that's just targeting you with their messages, making you discontent all the time, right? Like, it's sort of the accumulation of these things throughout your life, the frequency with which it hits you, and you start to feel discontent even in the moments when you aren't taking any of those things in. You start looking for reasons why things aren't as they should be. You start looking for reasons why maybe you don't like your life or like certain things about yourself. And so one way to just enjoy your life more is to practice being content. And this can be really hard. I know that. I think that for a lot of us, if we are driven, overachieving, or high achieving type of people, we hear the word contentment and we think, oh, that means I'm settling for less than the best, and I don't want to do that. And I have been there, and I hear you, because I definitely always want to do my best at whatever it is I'm doing. This is the kind of all or nothing thinking that gets us into trouble. Because if you're saying, I can only have the best, I cannot settle for anything that is less than the best, you probably have a lot of this all or nothing thinking going on in other areas of your life. And I'm just going to be honest with you. You probably don't know what the best is, because once you get to the thing that you think is the best version of your life, you're going to see a lot of other things that you aren't doing, or maybe you want to start or whatever, and you're never going to get to that mythical best point. And so while that means that maybe you will feel like you are constantly improving over your life, it will also mean that you never really give yourself permission to enjoy it. And so instead of like settling for that all or nothing thinking that's going to get you in trouble, because it's a thing that, is probably stressing you out, is probably making you feel like you're not enough in the first place. Instead of just following that unquestioningly, it might be a good idea to take a step back and go, okay, yeah, maybe I can't have the best possible solution, this 100 out of 100 score on my life, if I start to practice contentment where I am now, because I know I'm not at the best life. But maybe if I started practicing a little bit of contentment, I could actually enjoy my life more right now. And since this is the only moment that I have, maybe I should start doing that. I think you might be surprised by how that goes. If you want to stop running on that hamster wheel of productivity and efficiency and never quite measuring up to your own standards for yourself, because literally you can't, no one can, one of the best ways to do that is to just stop where you are and decide that you are going to start practicing contentment. And I say practice because you are not going to be good at it right away. And that's okay. I'm still not good at it all the time. And I don't actually think that we want to strive for 100% contentment in our lives at all times. There are times that things need to be improved, and having the discernment to see where those areas are and being able to work on those is actually really healthy and helpful for our growth as people. But trying to optimize everything all the time and just having this like bias toward thinking that where you are right now is not enough for the present moment is how you like lose track of how to be happy and get sort of nowhere really fast. The goal here is not to be like this Zen type person who is just totally satisfied with their lives all the time, or like who has no ambition. The goal here is to have more moments where you enjoy your life, where you can actually be present in the moment and not feel the need to always be grasping for more. When you can give yourself grace instead of constantly pushing and pushing and pushing for goals that you will not remember in 10 years, you will not remember in 5 years, you will not remember in 1 year. The goal is not complacency. The goal is happiness and satisfaction with your life right now, because chances are, if you are the type of person who is always pushing yourself further and further and further, you actually have a pretty good life, and you just aren't able to take the time to appreciate it. So in this next part, we are going to get super practical, and we are going to talk about some ways that you can practice contentment right here, right now in your normal everyday life. There are a lot of ways that you can do this. I've included 7 in this list because I think that is a good balance of like variety. So you can sort of pick the ones that work for you, but not being too much so that you feel overwhelmed. And because we're talking about contentment, I thought it was really important to make sure that all of these ideas were sort of doable for basically anybody. You don't have to buy new stuff. You don't have to like feel like you're not doing contentment right. Just something that you can do without any extra equipment. I don't want you to feel discontent about how you're able to practice contentment. Okay, so let's jump into the 7 ways you can practice contentment in your life starting today. First, be grateful. There are so many studies, and I'm sure that you have probably heard a lot of people talking about how gratefulness is just so good for you. Actually, like that was so long, that might need to be its own video. So if it does need to be its own video, I'll just summarize it here. Basically, there are a lot of ways to practice gratefulness. Some people really benefit from gratitude journaling. I am not one of those people, mostly because I'm not great at having a consistent daily journaling rhythm. Some backup ways that you can practice gratefulness, if journaling just really isn't your jam, is having a just time every day where you talk to somebody and you tell them 3 things you're grateful for, and you go back and forth. You keep each other accountable. This could be via text message. This could be in person, whatever works for you. And then finally, keeping a gratefulness jar, which is something that my first therapist recommended to me. And although I don't do it consistently now, I don't have a gratefulness jar at this moment. It is a really cool idea. And when I have done it in my life, it has been helpful to me. The second way to practice contentment is to have a no-buy period of time, which is not really a fun way to say that. You can have a no-buy week, you can have a no-buy month, you can have a no-buy year, like you can do whatever the challenge is for yourself. This year, I've been doing some no-buy weeks. And part of that is because I want to curb my shopping habit. I want to stop bringing so many things into my house and spending so much money. But one of the side effects that I didn't realize is that when I force myself to not buy things and shop less because I don't want to like tempt myself to buy things when I'm not supposed to be buying them, it is just really cool to realize like how much you already have. You know, there have been times where I'm like, man, like I really want a new something. And then I realize like I already have something I could use for that. And I just feel really blessed in those moments. No buy timeframes can be frustrating. And so if you are primarily trying to cultivate contentment, I would say probably lean toward a no buy week. But it just can be a really powerful way to kind of reorient yourself to the amount of things you already have to be grateful for in your life. And it's just really cool. The third thing is kind of related to that, and that is do some decluttering. I find that nothing reminds me how much I have in my life more than decluttering. So if you were able to watch my Declutter With Me video that I did earlier on this channel, you'll see like just the sheer number of things that I have. Like I have so much that I don't even need all of it. And so if I have more than enough, the natural response to that is to not feel like scarcity, to not feel dissatisfied, but to feel like content, to be like, wow, I have more than I need, and this is awesome. The fourth way to practice contentment in your life is to cultivate some core memories that involve like your normal life. An example of this could be like to take a staycation and really take the time to enjoy your town like you're a tourist, or to like clean your house and hang out in it like it's some sort of luxury resort, and just really enjoy like your time doing something relaxing that you would normally do on vacation. Like make those core memories in the life that you are living right now. Because I cannot tell you like how cool it is to like walk into your house and like have a flashback of a time where you like were really enjoying yourself. That just leads to so much happiness and satisfaction with your life. If you have not experienced that, there is no way to describe it. It is trippy and in like the best possible way. So the fifth way you can practice contentment in your everyday life is to take some time to be grounded in the present moment every single day. If it's not something that you are good at because you don't have a lot of practice at it, that's totally fine. Just take a minute, engage with your senses, notice what you're feeling, do some deep breathing, do some stretching, whatever like works for you to really like turn off the anxiety and the background noise and the multitasking, like whatever works for you to do that. Do it. It's going to look different based on who you are. I do think for most of us, this means you need to put down your cell phone at the very least. It may also mean you just want to avoid screens for this time. Some good activities or maybe like prompts to do this would be like talking to somebody that you care about. A lot of times active listening can be a very good way to ground yourself right in the present moment, to really listen to what the other person is saying and notice how you feel in your body, or just like notice what they're saying. Another way you can do this is by engaging in something that takes your full attention. So reading something or learning a new piece of music, or like just practicing a hobby that you really enjoy and that is just going to absorb you. I don't know why this makes me feel more content, but it does. It pretty much always makes me more satisfied with my life, because I feel like, and then maybe this is what it is, because Cal Newport, when he talks about social media, says that really what we a lot of times object to with social media is our loss of autonomy and control over our own time. And so I feel like putting the phone away, really engaging with the present moment, it gives us more of our sense of autonomy and control over our own selves and our own destinies back. Maybe destinies is too lofty of a word, but like just our sense of control over how we spend our time, like wanting to spend our time in ways that enrich us instead of like drain us or just leave us feeling kind of meh. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly why it works, but it does. So try it. Number 6 is to pick up a hobby that does not involve screens. And this does not mean that you need to pick up a hobby that costs a lot of money or spend a lot of money. Like if you want to do that, great. But because this episode is about contentment, I'm not really about that. Like I'm not about that generally, but I'm really not about it here, because the last thing I want to do is be like, hey, pick up a new hobby to develop contentment. And then you're like, oh yay, great. I'm going to pick up this new hobby. And now I have to buy all these things. And now I don't feel content. because I see all the ways that I'm not as good as these people who have been doing it for so long. Like, that is not, whoa, hold, stop the brakes. That is not what we are trying to do here. I'm talking about, like, if you want to take a walk around your neighborhood or around a park, and that's not something that you normally do, pick that up as a hobby. That's great. If you want to get a book or two from the library, great. If you want to invite a friend over for game night, I mean, I feel like everybody has at least one game at their house that they can play. And if you can't, like, look some games up online, like Ultimate Tic-Tac-Toe or something that you can just do on like pieces of paper, or ask your friend to bring one that they like. I mean, the idea here is get yourself away from all those marketing messages that are being constantly bombarded about you and telling you that you are not enough and that you need more in order to be satisfied and happy in your life. And do something that does actually make you satisfied and happy in your life. So the reason I said no screens is because of the marketing. So if you can like think of a way to do it without seeing, product placement, ads, whatever, if you have a link to Google Drive and you're just going to write a story and you just click that link, go straight to Google Drive. It's just the Google Drive page, like, cool, have at it. The enemy of contentment is not really our screens. The enemy of contentment is how we tend to use our screens and the messages that come at us and just sort of become part of who we are without us realizing it. And then finally, number 7, intentionally slow down. I'm going to do a whole video on this later. I feel like there's a few points in this video that need further elaboration, and this is one of them. But what I'm going to say about slowing down intentionally right now is that one way that I symbolically do this in my own life is I make bread from scratch. Now, I'm not the kind of person who always makes all our bread from scratch. I do not. I buy bread a lot of the time. But when I'm making bread, it's a really good reminder to me to slow down and really engage with what's in front of me. Kneading with my hands, the reminder that bread just takes the time that it takes. You can't rush it. You have to be patient. And then when you are, you get this really like fun product at the end. Like, it's bread. You can use it. You can eat it. You can make a sandwich with it. Like, it's awesome, but you have to take it slow. And you have to be okay with waiting and not going at 100 miles per minute when you're doing it. And that's a really good lesson for me. That's a reminder that I need in my life. And so I try to view the bread making process as a symbol of that. You do not have to make your own bread in order to slow down in your life. There are lots of ways you can do that, and we will talk about that in the video that I do on it. So stay tuned for that. But for right now, just be thinking about, like, are there ways that I could slow down and actually really relish the life that I have right now, instead of trying to go as fast as possible and never really feeling satisfied by anything? Okay, if you have made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. You are one of the real ones. I have a request for you. I would love for you to tell me in the comments about a moment that made you feel really content in your life. I think this could be a really cool way for all of us to learn from each other about what contentment can look like, because it's not something that we're really used to, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.